in some elite families, you are born with English. You speak English in your family as a first language, and you use Tagalog as your second language. It really happens in some elite families in the Philippines. So this concept of the concentric circles of English may be too geographically based. So it's quite difficult to justify whether you belong to the inner circle or the outer circle, taking the Philippine context as an example. But the advantages of these circles are that you can clearly classify Englishes systematically. So you can see the clearer picture of how English is used worldwide. Okay? So I would like to give you some statistics of the number of English speakers worldwide. This statistic shows that English are spoken by 15,000 million people worldwide, but there are only 375 million native speakers of English. So what do we mean by this? The number of native speakers of English has been surpassed by that of non-native speakers of English. Okay. And if you consider the proficiency level of those speakers from the three concentric circles of English, you can see that in the inner circle, the speakers have the highest proficiency level. So they have the moderate proficiency of level in the expanding circle, or the near-native proficiency level, or the functional proficiency level. In the outer circle, the speakers are perceived as having the lowest proficiency. So if you consider the statistics conducted by the Business English Index, BEI, the proficiency level of Thai speakers of English is lower than those who are from Vietnam. So this is the fact that we English language teachers in Thailand can't deny. So we have to help raise the proficiency level of Thai speakers. Okay. So the next part, I would like to give you the image of native and non-native speakers of English by providing you some definitions. A native speaker of English is one who speaks the language as his or her first language. Being a native speaker is associated with birthright fluency. You are born and equipped with English. Cultural affinity, you have acquired the culture of English speakers. And sociolinguistic competence, you know how to use English appropriately in different linguistic and cultural contexts. So these are characteristics of native speakers of English. For the non-native ones, so there are people who speak English as a second or foreign language. By being a non-native speaker is always associated with some burdens, such as minority. So you might be regarded as a minority of English speakers. You are burdened with marginalization. So you might not have a fair treat in terms of employment, and you are associated with some sort of stigmatization. So as you are a second language speaker, a foreign language speaker, you don't have enough or good enough proficiency level. So these factors result in that there is discrimination in the job market and in professional advancement. And these are the arguments about native and non-native teachers of English. So if you are the native speakers or native teachers of English, people think that you can provide accurate pronunciation models for learners. You innately understand the intricacies of idiomatic English usage as a native speakers. You can provide conversational opportunities in English that more closely mirror conversations that learners can expect to have with other English speakers. You understand native English-speaking cultures and can provide insight that non-native speakers cannot. You can speak English as it is actually spoken in English-speaking countries, and you are preferred by students and their parents. Okay. Perhaps you might disagree with some of these aspects. Okay. If you are non-native speakers, you are thought of providing second language learners with a positive role model for learning. Okay? You can teach language learning strategies more effectively. Why? Because you understand the L2 learners problem. You understand the foreign language learners problem. And you can supply the ESL or EFL learners with more information about the English language. And you can be more empathetic to the needs and problems of L2 learners. And you can incorporate the learner's first language as a method of teaching the L2 more effectively. What about this one? Are you preferred by students and their parents? Okay, I leave that to you until the end of this presentation. So, who is the better English teacher? This is still unanswered at this stage. So the assumption that native English-speaking teachers are better teachers has never been tested pedagogically. Who believes that? Who believes that native speaker teacher is better than the non-native one? This is unanswered. And I cannot answer this question as well. Bueno in 2006, rejecting the idea that native English-speaking teachers are better, says that I do not know of any piece of research that has shown that they are better teachers. However, the long-held belief that they are better is still here with no proof whatsoever to support such a theory. So let's go back to this question. Who shall teach English? Okay. So I'll give you some examples of different scenarios. In terms of qualifications, the gentleman on the left is a high school graduate with British accent. Okay? On the right, you have this handsome gentleman having an MA in English language teaching with 3 years in teaching, 3-year experience in teaching, with IPA, International Phonetic Association Standard Pronunciation. So who should teach your child English? Which one? The left or the right? Okay, this is the beauty pageant contest. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. In terms of, well, talking about discrimination, these are both English teachers, and they have the same qualifications, which are MA in ELT with 3 years in teaching They have IPA standard pronunciation, but this one is the native and this one is the non-native. Can this one teach? Do you prefer to have this teacher, this lady, as a teacher of English for your children? Okay, perhaps or perhaps not. Okay. So, what I have presented to you a while ago is linked with my current research about EFL English major students' attitudes on non-native English speakers. Because I'm curious whether the non-nativeness in English language teaching is accepted by my students who are English major students at the university level. Why I chose English major students? Because they are aspired user of English. They will graduate and use English primarily for their professions. So that's why I have selected this group of research participants. Okay? So let's talk about the background of my research. So English in Thailand, as you know, is mainly taught as a foreign language, or EFL